dive a little bit deeper and try and pressure the front lines, as Passimo is going to lead on one of their top heroes here, the Captain America. They played it in the first qualifier and in the second qualifier, and they had an incredible matchup with it.
Yeah, Burnin T'Challa is going to be coming on through as map number 1. Potentially, we're going to get to see a lot of these teams actually come out with a composition which is designed to just distract, right? You talked about the Captain America. Captain America on domination can be incredibly strong, as he's a very durable vanguard, but more importantly, he is disruptive. He gets to go into the enemy team's backline, he gets to occupy the strategist's attention entirely, and that allows the rest of your team core to get so much more aggressive with a lot of the damage sticking, as we are definitely in a damage heavy, a burst down meta currently, which is going to be aided by the Squirrel Girl shenanigans coming on through from Dusty's end.
So they will move off the Squirrel Girl at the very last moment. Baiting has cast a curse, as always, as they have moved over to the Ultron for their second damage dealer / third strategist role, going for a little bit of air and assault and to keep those frontliners up, as they didn't go for the Thor at the end, sticking with the more standard Groot.
Demon on that Heller is going to be absolutely crucial to being able to shut down Orion's fly angle. The problem is that the Heller needs to develop that angle first. If Dusty can just keep rolling and keep the Heller's attention off of them, they're in a really good position with the triple strategists to just sustain out all of that dueling press. But this is what Insomnia want, right? Captain America, Patty were already anchoring onto that site, not allowing Dusty the free pickup, and is giving Forever and Demon so much more space to do what they want.
Fearless leaps into the diving strike to try and pressure onto that backline. Like you said, disruption, annoyance, as Nocta will get sniped by Crazy here. And it looks like we're seeing Dusty creeping up onto the board, claiming space. It's a little bit slow, but they're starting to find some isolated targets. Trying to focus onto Forever, who takes cover behind the screens. Not able to get the finishing blow, and they will get healed up by Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, Orion just can't find the burst potential with the Encephalo Ray through that Dagger Dome. Now we've got the Rage of Ultron coming out at the same time his teammate goes in with his ultimate, keeping up a lot of that pressure, but that's going to be healed through with the Invis Boundary coming on out, and that gives Orion the means of bursting the Heller's ultimate down early. Demon gets dropped out of it, but no one's actually picked up this point just yet. It's a back and forth, and Dusty lose the group before Strangling Prison can be that kill confirm.
This is still fight number 1. No one grabbing the point, getting the healing Media M to try and snipe onto that Cloak and Dagger. Targeted! Able to take out Lurkin. And the Freedom Charge comes on in for Passimo to try and hold this. The bar is creeping up for Insomnia, but Dusty refusing to give it up, but they won't have a choice, as Insomnia will finally force them off the board.
Yeah, Insomnia now going to be actually stuck with that Strange, which would have been a little bit problematic in the past seasons, but now that he's been buffed with that Maelstrom, actually works pretty well for them. It's going to be the dance of the butterflies coming on through from Nocta, clearing out that point, making sure that Dusty can't try and stabilize themselves as the Eye of Agamotto comes and hits so many players from Dusty's end, and the Maelstrom follow-up. It's too impactful. The burst damage is there before Dusty can try and heal through.
And Insomnia get a full team wipe, claiming the board, and they're going to start getting that first percentage already up to a third of the way through the first point. You can see right now it's still a very low KO match with Crazy. Forever, both with 2 kind of creeping out ahead here. The Vanguards are able to land some final hits of their own.
Yeah, the Vanguards are going to be in a really good position for Insomnia, given the fact that Dusty don't have anything which can really get through that shield damage. They're not running anything with full melee prowess. And that's going to allow Insomnia, especially now with this Captain America, to just keep the point permanently in play. It's going to be the final judgment attempted to come through from Frosty. They're trying to prop it up, keep the Punisher healed through with the Invis Boundary, but Insomnia still hold their ground as no one gets picked.
Eternal Bond comes on out to open up. Demon will get sniped. Passimo Freedom Charge to delay to keep that point going. As long as they hold it, it keeps ticking up. Frosty is trying to clean through. Massive group up for the Dance of the Butterfly to try and clean on through. Stunning out the Punisher with the focus from Nocta to try and find a finishing shot, but they just can't get onto Frosty. Finally, Nocta will be the one to fall as Orion is starting to turn this.
Yeah, Rage of Ultron keeps everyone from Dusty's end up. As Insomnia are still finding the picks, it's going to be a desperate play. 4-2-4 trying to swing the fight. They know that they're not going to be able to get another one afterwards with that Strangling Prison Hail Mary, but it is not to be, and no one on the side of Dusty is going to be able to swap onto the Strange and get that teleporter actually coming into play to try and swing a fight late. Insomnia 100-0, but it feels disingenuous to call it a 100-0 given that opening brawl that we saw at the beginning when no one had the point for well over a minute.
Dusty are showing some incredible resilience here on this point. Strangling Prisons coming out, getting some really solid value, but they just aren't able to clean people out fast enough is the issue. They're getting massive damage output, they're getting pickups, but then they'll get one pickup and then Insomnia will get three. Insomnia are able to chain a little bit further together, and that's allowing them point holds.
Yeah, there's just no wombo coming through from Dusty's end either. Yes, they had the Strangling Prison and it was getting multiple players on the side of Insomnia, but they weren't actually able to sync it up. In fact, you can see here the ultimate charge is coming on through. Normally when you have the Strangling Prison, it's the step one. It's not the thing that wins you the fight, right? Something has to come afterwards that does all of that damage to translate into picks. In this composition, you would expect it to be the Final Judgment trying to stay true to its name and actually being, well, final. But Frosty is never able to line it up with 4-2-4 as Insomnia doing such a good job of forcing the Punisher's hand.
Pushing on forward, 4-2-4. They're going to try and claim an early forward position to try and gain advantage. Stairs getting collapsed, but Insomnia creating quite the wraparound with Passivo is making it so that Dusty can't push up as aggressively as they would like because Cap is disrupting. We keep calling it, it keeps working.
Yeah, Crizzy's gonna have the Meteor M, but he's not gonna want to burn it until he either uses it to absorb the Howler ultimate or potentially tries to launch it through one of the strategists. Yet again, we see the Final Judgment being invested, overlapping with the Invis boundary so that Frosty can try and live the duration of it. But even with that ultimate up, it's not enough. Insomnia burst through, and with the Freedom Charge, the Captain ultimate are gonna be able to hold on to the point, managing to find the fight win with a Final Judgment of their own.
Nocta showing them how it's done, swapping over to that Punisher and melting the side of Dusty as once again Insomnia will claim the first percentages on this point, but this time a little bit faster.
Yeah, Crizzy tried to utilize the Meteor M in that fight to break through the Punisher ultimate. Wasn't able to find the pick. Now that means that Lurk is going to have a free Eternal Bond to have everyone sustain plus Orion's Rage of Ultron and Demons on the Wolverine, which means bad times for 4-2-4 ahead.
You're trying to go for the Strangling Prison for the turnaround, but Lurkin, like you said, with the Eternal Bond is buying a lot of time. Ultron with the Rage of Ultron to try and force them back, to try and open up the board for Dusty, but they're just getting zoned so far. Demon is just a blender of pain, trying to keep everyone off the board, but Insomnia dropped low forever, is taken down as Dusty delayed as long as they could, but Final Judgment snipes on through with the final stand.
Oh my goodness, there's a different kind of rage. It's not Ultron's, it's Wolverine. Demon's getting to keep that up full maximum charge, as normally CMD would be the counter agent for that one, trying to utilize the force physics to counter grab when the Wolverine goes in, but Demon's not even going in aggressively to look for players to isolate and just pull behind the backline. He's just going in to keep up the pressure continually on the members of Dusty when they're stacked on up, and has bought Nocta a free Punisher ultimate again.
Playing a little bit further back, using the Strange for the protection as they wait for the opening, wait for the trigger as Dusty are going to try and make an engagement unless Demon finds an isolation, but not this time. Group try to trap him, try to isolate. If you can zone someone away from their strategies, it can lead to a big pickup. Passivo dropping extremely low, invisible boundary from both sides as they commit. Both sides with the Final Judgment, but it's going to be Frosty who picks up the first. It's a triple KO for Dusty, making a quintuple, and Passivo is picked up on the retreat, and Dusty are on the board.
But the investment, Tatcha. That was Punisher, Invis, and Magneto, all using their ultimates to play support for Frosty. The strategist was able to keep them up with the help of the Vanguard, and Insomnia are going to answer back immediately with a teleport play. This is going to be a TP into Aya Agamotto directly in the center of Dusty's entire team. It gets counter-played with the Strangling Prison, but I still catches full. Luke's got a free Eternal Bond, and this is Insomnia swinging the fight back to their side immediately. Dusty.
We're seeing Dusty clean off the board. It's a 99 for Insomnia, meaning unless Dusty can get that portal in as 424 will swap over. They're going to try and delay it, but they've got to be fast if they want any hope of taking this round number 2 and getting themselves on the board with a map. CMD with the delay. Portal comes out. Body blocks from Passivo will hold.
One of the main criticisms about Punisher is how big his hitbox is, and I love that Insomnia heard that criticism and went, okay, bet, they're gonna TP and we're gonna have our Punisher just stand right in the center of it and body block like a Vanguard would. Oh my goodness, Insomnia had some amazing plays, and also just the understanding, we talked about it, right? When Dusty had to over-invest in one fight to guarantee that they would find value with Chrissy's Punisher ultimate, Insomnia saw that as just a golden ticket. They knew as long as they didn't over-invest and match every single ultimate for every ultimate that came through from the other side, all they had to do was TP back into the fight. It was already 99% on the board, which meant that no one on the side of Dusty could abandon that point for fear of a back cap coming on through. So everyone was in just perfect position for the Eye of Agamotto.
And being able to survive with that Eternal Bond to push on through the range of Ultron, the damage output. We have been seeing Ultron creeping on in, but they just did not have the sustain, like we already mentioned, or at least the burst damage wombo that you called earlier on. Media M was attempting to counter main engagers, and while they did find some shots, it just was never enough to wipe the team like this was forever, with massive engagers repeatedly to set up for their team.
Yeah, Doctor Strange has been on like a sort of seesaw in terms of power of balance for a Vanguard, but when they buffed Maelstrom and they made it reach even further, he became so much more stronger. Like, he's an S-tier pick. Immediately, again, off of the back of that, he's always been with just what you can combine with the Strange, because you have that pick potential off of you yourself. Here we're getting to see the fight where Dusty had to just invest so much in this boundary Meteor M to be able to absorb the other Punisher ultimate coming in through from the side of Insomnia, where it's always a coin flip of, can you actually throw out the Meteor in time before it really quickly, he won't have the confidence to take it. Then the two heroes that you would traditionally opt for, one of which is Invis Woman, so that when you see a Wolverine looking for that feral leap for the kidnap potential, then you literally just hit your force physics and you counter grab him back. That becomes harder if there's a Magneto on the other side, because that Magneto is going to bubble that Wolverine with the bulwark, and then they're not actually going to be able to get grabbed by the force physics. And then the other way that you counterplay a Wolverine is that you run Magneto yourself and you bubble with your own bulwark whoever does end up getting grabbed. But all of the ways that you counterplay a Wolverine require a lot of coordination and a lot of cooldown management, so we're going to be seeing a real test come here from Dusty's end.
Tossing out the Wolverine here, as we did see a Hulk just for the initial engage. And the Wolverine did find the target. That's an immediate focus onto Orion. What a target to pick up early here, as Insomnia open up aggressively. Passivo creating space for Nocta to claim this center location and siege away at Dusty, who are being fully routed right now.
Yeah, that first pick has just blown this map wide open. Dusty now, without that Punisher, don't have any way of stalling out Insomnia, which is going to domino impact into the amount of time that Frosty has to be able to find a flank rotation. 424's getting scouted out of the backline, immediately turned onto by Nocta, who comes in with the peel. Really good Terror Cape, comes through, hits Demon. The 28% damage reduction is going to make it very hard for that Wolverine to find any of the confidence, but the passive is still up, so he still goes for the feral grab, and that manages to force the bubble. The bulwark already out to peel for 424, so Crizzy's now coming under fire, which forces the Loki regen domain. Dusty's resources are being forced, they have nothing in the pocket! And there goes the maximum pulse from Nocta, maximum value found as Insomnia utilized the Eternal Eternal Bond to solidify their push into the A side.
Using both strategist ultimates there, as CMD was sniped out of that God of Mischief Eternal Bond. I mean, they had to immediately use the other two for just one Media M, and it's still not enough, as Insomnia are just finding one by one all the members of Dusty and creeping those goats in towards the first gate on Yggdrasil path. Cap tries to delay, but is hunted down. 424 is taken out, and Insomnia claim point number 1.
Yeah, the scream of the goats will signal A being picked up and moving into B. The scream of misery is going to signal the fact that Frosty lost the dance of the butterflies. You're intangible normally when you hit the Psylocke ultimate, but you're still vulnerable before you go for that first dash, and Frosty was so low that they went down before the ult could come through, and now Dusty don't have it to hold Insomnia at bay or potentially force an ultimate from their side. It's going to be the final judgment from Orion to try and hit pause and force Insomnia back, but yet again Insomnia are holding on to their ultimates. They're waiting for this to be over before they answer back in with the lion's share of their own.
Pushing on in, they waited out that final judgment. Orion goes down. Pasivo is playing aggressive as both Captain Americas do the freedom charge. They melt on through here. They take out all the backline, and Cap is out of there. 424. They may get away, but no, tracked down at the last moment by Pasivo as the car keeps on moving, and the doorway is being held by Insomnia. They have full control right now, Moxie.
Yeah, this freedom charge is just a red carpet, green light go sign for Demon to play as aggressive as he wants and just brawl fully through Dusty's forces. CMD is going to be coming in with a God of Mischief. They also have an Eternal Bond coming in through from the actual Cloak and Dagger, but it's going to have to be the Captain America who just jumps onto that payload, tries to stall it out. The one-shot potential is there. The protection is there as well, though. Maximum Pulse does not manage to nullify Eternal Bond.
And that could be big for Dusty to try and regain the position. They're just about to have that Dance of the Butterfly available. Media M to try and clear out. Sidestepped or fly stepped by Nocta, are able to dodge away from that as they're starting to delay. Orion off of the Punisher onto the Ultron for the extra stealing here. And it is keeping them alive. Dance of the Butterfly to try and push back in something. And finally they get Nocta. Lurkin, Pasivo, Dusty are going to be able to hold. But they've still got 2 and 3/4 minutes to go.
True, but now they do have control of some more of the spacing. They're going to have as well the distance to be able to keep a better track of Demon. Nocta's actually going to be swapping onto the Bucky, which is a clear indicator that Insomnia want to deal with this Psylocke. If Frosty tries to go aggressively into the backline, it's going to be Hook, it's going to be Trooper's Fist, it's going to be good night Psylocke, say hello to your respawn room.
Trying to leave the opening here. Orion with the range of Ultron playing on the high ground as once again Wolverine finds another pickup. They have so much crowd control now between Winter Soldier and the Wolverine. Psionic Seduction to melt on through Orion there with Nocta land the finishing blow, and Forever is taking back this space. Final stand! The last stand from Wolverine. Lurkin is trying to heal the team up. He's able to get Crazy instead in that cloak form.
Oh, CMD tries to go, like you said, for the Eternal Bond copy. Freedom Charge comes through from both sides. It's going to be a little bit later, weighted towards Insomnia's end, though, so they are going to have the later sustain, and that is going to be the fight done surely. Pasivo is just going to keep harassing them, not allow them to reform. Finally, Insomnia will have been able to pick up B, but it was nowhere near as easy as A, and it's only going to get harder as we head into C, and that respawn point becomes so much closer for Dusty. As long as they can stall out the payload, they'll be able to regroup so much easier.
Pasivo is just harassing so much now. Even with those faster respawns, if you just keep getting run down by this incredibly aggressive man from Brooklyn, they really do need to make sure that they're grouped up. They can't afford to keep being sniped from behind.
Yeah, Frosty is just having to just duel out the Vanguards. There's the scout check on the Wolverine. Demon immediately forced to back out of that duel. And this is giving Dusty's Vanguards much more confidence to hold that position. The double dash gets invested into the backline we go. Dance of the Butterflies forces the Eternal Bomb. And Insomnia are going to have to get aggressive to try and take advantage of the window that the Strategist Ultimate has given them.
They're trying to push in Demon, looking for another isolation, trying to get onto Magneto. As comes the rage of Ultron. 424 is dropped low as they're able to snipe Demon. It's a 1-for-1, but they're forcing a little bit of a zone out here. They're able to get onto the cart, but immediately Insomnia start to move back in and try to reclaim the space. As Crazy is trying to just hold the corner, but Kraken impact into the backline, looking for the reset onto the Loki clone. It's going to allow reset number 1, 2, and they are wiping the board right now, trying to get to the right, preventing the fly, but they can't find the last reset.
Yeah, the Echo Chamber falls silent. Nocta runs out of the 7 seconds reset window. Really good pill comes through from Dusty's end, but it's Demon yet again with the Lost and Wolverine ultimate trying to cleave open the space for the attacking side to be able to make anything past the wall. Looks for the jump, hasn't been able to find the in. Out comes the Freedom Charge in reaction to Dusty's players being split, and if they're split, they're not regrouping, which means that payload is getting closer and closer to the finish line.
Chasing 4-2-4 back into base once again. Passimo is literally in their spawn right now. Rage of Ultron to try and clear an opening and hold the Vanguards on this point. Regeneration Domain to delay as well. Freedom Charge, it's all the abilities being burnt. Nocta will fall. This is an opening with only 50 seconds remaining. If Dusty can stagger some of these eliminations, this could be the hold they need.
Nocta is out. No Kraken impact. He's going to have to walk all the way back from spawn. So now it falls to Insomnia's players still standing to keep this card in play for that Winter Soldier ultimate to come on through, as Dusty are going to be lacking the tools potentially. They're going to have 5% of that Eternal Bond. If ILO can build it in this overtime fight, we could well see Dusty hold on to that time bank. But the Psionic Seduction from Forever 774 is making it so much harder. ILO with that CC immunity from the Cloak and Dagger ultimate will still be able to put it down though, and Dusty has the means of holding on a little bit longer.
Trying to melt Magneto, prevent that big burst protection, cleans out one, pushing on in, last stand, onto the point to melt through Captain America as Captain Canada of Demon wipes them off the board and they claim the triple cap. Insomnia are putting themselves in a great position to take this map number 2.
Yeah, we're going to be toasting the maple syrup bottles, I feel, at the end of this one, because Demon has just been an absolute demon. There's no other way to say it. This Wolverine has been so problematic. So problematic. It opened up with point A, just an immediate fastball throw coming on through with an unexpected Hulk pick, literally for the first fight, so they could have that team up ability to cannonball the Wolverine in and break what is one of the hardest corners for an attacking team to be able to take. Traditionally, on Yggdrasil path, there's no pick, there's no elimination until an ultimate is found, or the attacking side is able to come on through with a full pinch all the way into the backline of the defenders. But that just gets blown out of the water quite literally, because all of a sudden there's a Wolverine in your face.
We absolutely love these crazy rollout strats going all the way back a couple seasons ago. We, of course, had someone starting on the Scarlet Witch if your team's going through a portal to give Magneto his special sword to dive through a portal and then immediately swap onto a different character. We had the Rocket armoring up the team, now featuring Penny. And now we have the Wolverine launch, still comboed with Rocket, to isolate someone from across the map and then jump pack them into your team. It just keeps getting more scary.
Yeah, Spider Islands tends to be where that has the most impact. As we can see, Insomnia just breaking all of the map terrain so they can get that one just fully removed. No cover shenanigans for Dusty to be able to hide behind if they try and flank around the right side. Wolverine on the defense, though, is going to be a little bit harder to pull off, given the fact that Demon has to now traverse all of that distance, and Dusty are going to be looking for him. They've got the double flyer, Frosty and Orion, on the Iron Man and the Ultron, so they've got the team up. They're going to have the nanotech, and they have the means of trying to spam down the Wolverine, but Demon's already been able to find a grab, and out come the resources yet again. Bulwark, Regeneration Domain, it's all gone from the side of the attack.
Trying to push on in, the Groot is trying to create an opening, trying to zone as Demon will not find another isolation here. Is getting dropped low, but the important part is he's not getting taken out. So far, only Forever going down, but we're seeing Insomnia getting dropped low. Dusty are creating some space here down into the doorway to siege on down Groot wall above for that Thornlash Vines to get extra damage on anyone who tries to engage.
Oh, they haven't cleared the wolf. Oh no!
Ooh.
He's so close to 4-4. He almost got him through the portal. Again, he forces the Bulwark, and Demon has been able to force so many cooldowns and be able to find the pick onto the Groot. It's not in time to save 4-2-4. The group goes down before Strangling Prison can come into play, and Insomnia hold on to A.
Demon pushes back up, looking for anyone to get out of position to isolate, as right now, Insomnia, they've got the Strange, they've already burned the portal. Dusty are holding on to it, but they do have some significant ult charges right now. Everything except for the Rage of Ultron. If they can force a group up from Insomnia, they may be able to get that opening and open up that first point. But it's a big if, and they need to be so careful because Demon is still on the prowl.
Maximum Pulse, potentially. Eye of Agamotto gets dodged by the Iron Man, but not by CMD and 4-2-4. The follow-up is there too. Nocta tries to go for the Kraken impact. It's mitigated by the Eternal Bond coming on out from Dusty's end, and there's the maximum pulse that we wanted. But the amount of ultimates that this attacking team invested, they're going to be bankrupt outside of the God of Mischief up for CMD in this next fight, and Insomnia are still holding on to playing cards.
Insomnia, they will not be able to get to the point though, so while they will have these cards, they will have to be used for point number 2, as Dusty will be able to open the gate and progress into this main doorway. You've got another very rough corner here with some flanking potential, especially for Emma from the high ground. Could get some great silent seductions, and Forever is building that charge up very quickly.
Frosty with the armor overdrive keeps up the pressure, manages to force a lot of those cooldowns early. However, Dusty also invested the regeneration domain. They wanted it taking the cooldown down in the middle of CMD's God of Mischief, and they're going to pay for that as CMD actually goes down in focus fire before he can get the first dash of the Eternal Bond copy off. And Insomnia now are going to be able to spawn hold. You might have 2 flyers, but you're not going to have the space to get them through, as it's just going to be continuous poke pressure before Dusty can even walk through the first door.
Insomnia just don't stop moving once they start counter-pushing. They get to the car and then they just wait there. But they refuse to give any inch here. Kraken impact at the ready. Last stand. It's Demon looking for anyone who steps out of position. That Iron Man's a little low. Finds it through the door. Targeting. Trying to burst on through, but Frosty is able to escape as Rage of Ultron was burned invisible pulse cannon. Deflected by the shield, but it will be counter-blocked by the Magneto.
Freedom Charge has the freedom of taking everyone from Insomnia into Dusty's back line, and this fight is still ongoing as Dusty have not been able to gain a single inch of ground, and Insomnia, despite utilizing ultimates, have been able to build them back mid-fight. Psionic Seduction comes on through. Passio gets scooped up into the Strangling Prison. The follow-up is there. Crizzy utilizing the Meteor M to make sure that no one from Insomnia can peel the players grabbed on up by it, and finally Dusty are going to be able to potentially send Insomnia packing, but no, a late pick from Nocta comes out onto ILO, and without a strategist, Dusty are looking a little bit too vulnerable. CMD with the God of Mischief goes for the copy, but that means the clones are still on the field, and Kraken Impact is still sounding off.
Nocta will get taken down finally as Frosty is being incredible right now with this damage output, giving space for their team, just focusing off, zoning away Passimo as Dusty finally win another fight. But they are winning these fights so far apart that these pushes are burning through all the time they have. 1 minute and 38 left, and they're not even halfway through point number 2.
Yeah, they've got 2 more fights at least, and Insomnia, with how aggressive they've been taking these fights in untraditional spaces, they're probably going to try and make it free as Crizzy tries to go for a little bit of poke pressure, but that leaves him vulnerable to getting force physics off the high ground into the enemy team. He's got to burn all of his resources, keeping himself alive, and Insomnia, now that those resources have been depleted, can just wait out the fight and come in with their own afterwards. Maximum Pulse from Frosty is going to be able to hold him at bay a little bit longer, but that means that Demons had all of the opportunity to build up the rage on the Wolverine claws, but finally he gets taken down before the last time can find value.
They're pushing on in with the Straggling Prison. The walls are up and they melt on through the Invisible Woman. Forever gets the counter onto Ilo with the Psionic Seduction. Forever is trying to push them back to zone away, but they just can't seem to land a finishing blow. The Groot is tanking beautifully here. Freedom Charge comes out from Passimo to buy extra time to keep pressure on that backline.
There's so much invested in that fight, though. Dusty overlapped God of Mischief and Rage of Ultron. Insomnia are going to have the only strategist ultimate at the beginning of this fight, and it's going to be Invis Boundary. You can see that Passimo is getting ready to just tap onto that card, keep it in play, try and let his team come back on through, but a beautiful wall from 4-4 prevents the return back, and now Invis the strange TP. The cloak face comes out from Luck to mitigate the maximum pulse. And Dusty don't find the Iron Man on value, but they have been able to find B.
The portal is delaying at least a little bit longer as people are rushing to the point, but this Iron Man is uncontested. Dusty get point number 2, and now with 1.5 minutes left, they can't afford to get wiped again because they've been taken out so many times, but they seem to have found their groove finally here.
Oh, I don't know if they've been able to hold on to that groove, though. Nocta with the tempo change-up is going to slow things down immediately. Insomnia are going to have been going from the most aggressive team you've ever seen to just playing for a pick now, coming out from this Hella. The slow burn pressure, the angle denial onto Frosty and Orion before they can utilize the Rage of Ultron and start snowballing C away from them. Insomnia have slammed the door down on any avalanche Dusty could have found spiraling off of V.
3/4 of a minute remaining. Rage of Ultron to try and create an opening, pushing on through the door as in comes Wolverine, trying to find an isolation on the flank. Regeneration domain is burned as 424 is pulled on in. That's a straggling prison off the board. It was used and found nothing as Demon even gets out there, and that's forcing Dusty off the point with 30 seconds remaining. They need to commit hard here.
And they don't have the space. They've got the ultimates, but they don't have the time bank to be able to clear all of these angles. Insomnia are going to be able to hold the attacking side hostage as they have no choice but to run directly in the midst of the Goddess of Death, which is just getting full absorbed right now by Chrissy's Meteor M. Eternal Bomb from the God of Mischief comes on through from CMD side. ILO holds on to that only to utilize it in the second stage of the fight, but there's another one to come after this. Dusty have so much more distance to cover, and Insomnia have waited. The ultimates are going to be done. It's their time to play, and Dusty are going to be out of win conditions.
44 brings in the portal for a last-ditch effort. It's desperate, but Frosty takes out Demon. They're trying to make space. Ilo is down. Passimo is in the backline, but Demon is finally caught out. Rage of Ultron to keep the Vanguards on the points alive so they can keep pushing on in, but no one is touching Passimo. Someone get this man as they're pushing on through, but Nocta is finding targets. Frosty goes down. They've lost Orion. The Vanguard's getting taken out. Loki's nowhere near the point, and that will be a hold. Insomnia take the win.
Oh my goodness. Tatcha, didn't you know Passio and that Captain America, he can do that all day. All the time. Poor Team Dusty. I mean, being able to have like the target focus to take down a Captain America is already hard enough as it is in just default gameplay. But when it's overtime and you're also having to contest with all of the other angles that the other players from Insomnia have against you, while also making sure that someone is always anchoring that cart so that you don't just lose by default to time running out on you, it's so difficult to be able to burst